Neues MacBook Air, wichtige Funktionen und erwarteter Preis. Tauchen Sie ein in die neuesten Gerüchte über das kommende MacBook Air von Apple mit dem M4-Chip.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. You know, we love digging into the latest tech news, and today we're tackling the Apple rumor mill. It's swirling with speculation thanks to Tim Cook's cryptic post on X. There's something in the air, huh?
Yeah, definitely sounds familiar, right? Almost like a little nod to the original MacBook Air launch.
Exactly. It's got everyone buzzing. And while there's a ton of speculation about what exactly Apple's got up their sleeve, we're zeroing in on the most likely suspect, a brand new MacBook Air with the M4 chip. We've got a bunch of sources for this deep dive, Mashable McRumors, and a couple of in-depth analyses too. Apple's new MacBook Air with M4 chip, expert insights, and new MacBook Air, key features and expected price, plus some interesting projections from Analytics Insight. So are we ready to unpack all this?
Let's dive in.
Okay, first things first. Everyone seems to think this thing is launching this week, possibly even today. Looks like Tim Cook wasn't just teasing us.
Yeah, it really lines up with Apple's typical spring release schedule. Makes sense, right? Catch that post-holiday tech spending wave.
Smart move.
Right.
Let's get to the good stuff. The M4 chip. This isn't just a minor upgrade. We're talking the same chip that's powering the 2024 MacBook Pro and the iMac, and those are getting rave reviews for performance.
Putting that level of power into the MacBook Air is a huge statement. It's like Apple's making pro-level performance more accessible, which could really shake things up.
I'm really curious to see how it performs in everyday use. The articles talk about smoother multitasking, faster app launches, even handling things like video editing. No problem.
Yeah.
But what about battery life? That's already a major selling point for the Air.
That's where things get interesting. Some sources like New MacBook Air, key features and expected price are predicting the 15-inch model could hit over 18 hours of battery life.
Whoa, are you serious?
Yeah.
Almost 2 full workdays on one charge. That's insane. Okay, we got to talk about the other features that are making headlines. 2 size options are expected, 13-inch and 15-inch, which is great news for anyone who wants more screen space.
Seems like Apple's focusing on those internal upgrades rather than a major design overhaul. Analytics Insight specifically said the new Air will probably look very similar to the 2022 model.
Which makes sense. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? But wait, there's more. RAM is getting a serious boost too. 16 GB is the new starting point, and it could even go up to 32 GB. So say goodbye to lag even with a million tabs open.
Yeah, combined with the M4 chip, that's huge for anyone running demanding applications. Think about what that means for designers, developers, anyone who's a multitasking pro.
And get this. There are rumors about Thunderbolt 4 ports. Faster data transfer is always good. But here's the real kicker. It could mean the new Air supports 2 external displays, even when the laptop's open.
That's a big jump in terms of workspace flexibility. Suddenly, the MacBook Air becomes a real contender for people who need a multi-monitor setup.
There's even a little whisper in Mashable about a possible MacBook Air and iPad Air combo release. Can you imagine? What a power move.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the front-facing camera, because video calls are pretty much a way of life these days.
The word on the street is it could be getting an upgrade to a 12MP center stage camera, putting it on par with the latest MacBook Pro models.
Makes sense. High-quality video is essential these days.
Yeah.
Okay, but the question everyone's asking is, how much is all this going to cost?
Based on new MacBook Air, key features, and expected price, it seems Apple is trying to keep the pricing consistent with the previous generation.
So no huge price hike. That's good news. We're looking at an expected starting price of $1,099 for the 13-inch model and $1,299 for the 15-inch, which seems pretty competitive considering all the upgrades.
But remember, those are for the base configurations. Storage upgrades will probably cost extra, and the base model might only have 256 GB of storage, which isn't much for power users or anyone with a big media library.
Good point. Don't let that starting price fool you. You got to figure out how much storage you actually need and factor that into the cost. All right, so we've covered the rumored features and pricing, but the real question is this a must-have upgrade? If you have a fairly recent MacBook Air, you might be perfectly content with what you have.
But for those of you with older models, especially anything pre-M1, this new Air offers some pretty tempting reasons to upgrade.
Yeah, the performance boost alone would be a big deal, not to mention that incredible battery life we talked about.
And don't forget the RAM upgrade and improved external display support. Those are game changers for anyone who needs to maximize their productivity.
Okay, so we've laid out all the essential details, but now comes the fun part.
Yeah.
Let's analyze what this potential MacBook Air means for Apple's overall strategy and how it stacks up against the competition.
Yeah, it feels like Apple's making a pretty bold move here, pushing the boundaries of what we expect from a MacBook Air, you know?
Yeah, I'm curious about that. What do you think Rich says about Apple's overall strategy with their laptops?
Well, it definitely seems like they're blurring the lines between the Air and the Pro, packing this much power into a machine that's traditionally been all about lightweight portability. It could make the Air a much more appealing option for a wider range of
So are
users.
they trying to like cannibalize their own Pro line?
Not necessarily. I think it's more about offering a whole spectrum of performance and features. The Pro will probably always be the top of the line option, for professionals who need absolute maximum power. But this new Air could really hit that sweet spot for a lot of people. Students, creatives, even casual gamers who want a machine that can handle a bit of everything.
I see what you mean. It's like they're expanding the definition of who a power user is.
Exactly. And that brings us to the competitive landscape. How does this potential MacBook Air stack up against other laptops out there, especially in terms of performance and price?
That's the big question, right? Especially for people who aren't already all in on the Apple ecosystem. There are some pretty impressive Windows laptops out there that offer a lot of bang for your buck.
That's true, but Apple's not just playing the spec game. Their real advantage is the integration of hardware and software. The M4 chip is designed specifically for macOS. And that synergy can lead to some pretty amazing performance gains.
You're talking about that seamless Apple experience everyone always talks about.
Exactly. The intuitive interface, the focus on privacy and security, the integration with iPhones and iPads, it all adds up to a really compelling package.
So even if a Windows laptop has slightly better specs on paper, the overall user experience on a MacBook could still be better.
That's a really important point for listeners to consider. Don't get too hung up on benchmarks and gigahertz. Think about the features that matter most to you and how they translate into real-world use.
Like that crazy battery life we talked about earlier. I
Yeah.
bet most Windows laptops just can't compete with that.
Battery life is definitely one area where Apple consistently excels. Their silicon is incredibly power efficient, and that translates to hours of unplugged productivity.
This all leads back to the question we asked before. Is it worth the wait? For someone who values portability performance and that seamless Apple experience, this new MacBook Air could be really tempting.
It's definitely shaping up to be a powerful and versatile machine, but there's one crucial element we haven't talked about yet: the long-term value proposition.
Right, because buying a laptop isn't just about the immediate gratification. It's about making a smart investment that will serve you well for years to come.
Exactly. So let's dive into that next. How does this potential MacBook Air hold up in terms of longevity and future-proofing?
That's a great question, especially with technology evolving so rapidly. What are your thoughts? When we're talking about buying a new laptop, the big purchase, like that long-term value is so important. Nobody wants to feel like their device is already outdated a year later, right?
Right, and that's one of the things that makes the M4 chip so exciting. It's not just about the immediate performance boost you get. It's about the fact that it represents a huge leap forward for Apple's silicon technology, which could mean this MacBook Air stays relevant for years to come.
So it's more than just keeping up with the latest trends. It's about investing in a machine that can adapt and handle future demands.
Exactly. If you really rely on your laptop, whether it's for work or creative stuff, having the latest cheap technology can make a huge difference in your workflow and productivity.
And that extended battery life we talked about, wouldn't that also contribute to its longevity? The longer the battery holds up, the longer the laptop stays useful.
Absolutely. The ability to work or play for hours without needing to plug in is a game changer, especially for people who are always on the go. It also means the battery will degrade slower, which extends the overall lifespan of the device.
It really seems like Apple is hitting a sweet spot with this potential upgrade. Powerful enough for demanding tasks, but also portable and designed to last.
They're definitely addressing those key areas that matter most to users: the increased RAM, the enhanced external display support, even the improved webcam. All these features contribute to a well-rounded device that's built to last.
And let's not forget, we're expecting all this at a price point that's in line with the previous generation. That's pretty impressive considering the significant upgrades we're anticipating.
Yeah, it suggests Apple is serious about making their latest technology accessible to a wider audience, not just those with deep pockets.
All right, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what's your final takeaway for listeners who are trying to decide whether this new MacBook Air is right for them?
I would say think about your individual needs and priorities. Do you really need the absolute latest and greatest technology? Or are you more focused on a reliable machine that will last for years? Consider your budget, how you use your laptop, and the ecosystem you're already invested in.
That's great advice. And of course, we have to remember that this is all based on Rumors and speculation, we've used credible sources, but Apple could always throw us a curveball.
That's part of the fun. There's always that element of surprise with these product launches.
So stay tuned, everyone. Apple's official announcement is right around the corner, and we can't wait to see what they unveil. In the meantime, head over to our deep dive forum or social media and share your thoughts and predictions. We'd love to hear what you think.
Until next time, happy computing!